Right now, somewhere in the world, a father is scrolling his phone while his daughter tries to show him a drawing. A friend is nodding in a conversation while mentally drafting a reply. A person is eating lunch and tasting nothing. We are alive, but we are almost never fully here. According to a 2023 Microsoft study, the average human attention span has dropped to 8 seconds. We are the most connected generation in history, and somehow the loneliest. A Harvard study by Killingsworth and Gilbert, published in Science magazine, found that people spend 46.9% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're currently doing. Nearly half of your life gone, not stolen, drifted. The study also found that mind-wandering, regardless of the activity, makes people less happy. We are not distracted by bad things. We are distracted from good ones. We keep saying, I'll be present later, after this project, after this deadline, after the kids grow up, after retirement. But neuroscience tells us something difficult. The brain forms habits of inattention just as powerfully as habits of attention. The more you half-live moments, the more your default mode network trains itself to be somewhere else. Distraction isn't a choice anymore. For many of us, it has become a reflex. Consider this. The last time your parents laughed at something you said, did you notice their eyes? The last time you walked through rain, did you feel it or were you running from it? The last meal someone cooked for you with love, did you taste it or were you already somewhere else? These moments are not coming back. Not because life is cruel, but because that is simply the nature of time. Every moment is a one-way door. The American Psychological Association reports that loneliness has reached epidemic levels. Former U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy declared loneliness a public health crisis in 2023. Not because people are alone, but because they are together and still not connecting. We have more ways to communicate than any humans in history, and less actual connection. The problem is not our schedules. The problem is we have stopped being fully present with the people we love. Over 450 years ago, in 16th century Japan, a tea master named Sun no Rikyū, considered the greatest influence on Japanese tea ceremony in history, developed a philosophy for Japanese characters: simple, radical, timeless. Ichigo Ichie. It means one time, one meeting. The idea that every single encounter, every conversation, every sunrise, every cup of tea shared with another human being is happening for the first and last time. Exactly like this. Never again. Ichigo Ichie is not a productivity hack. It is not a mindfulness app. It is a way of seeing. It says, the person sitting in front of you right now, this version of them, in this mood, at this age, with these eyes, will never exist again in exactly this way. The conversation you are having at this moment is a once-in-a-universe event. When you truly understand this, not as a concept, but as a felt reality, something shifts permanently in how you live. Modern neuroscience validates what Rikyū observed centuries ago. Research on mindfulness from Dr. John Kabat-Zinn at the University of Massachusetts shows that present-moment awareness reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 23%. Studies from UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center show it physically rewires the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and empathy. Presence is not just spiritual wisdom. It is biological medicine. Here is where Ichigo Ichie becomes practical. Begin with mornings. Tomorrow, before you pick up your phone, pause. Look at the light in the room. Feel the temperature of the air. That specific quality of morning, that exact light, that particular silence, will never repeat itself. Not tomorrow. Not ever. Japanese psychiatrist Dr. Tomio Hirai, who studied Zen meditation for decades, found that this kind of deliberate noticing in the first moments of the day sets the neurological tone for all the hours that follow. The most powerful place to practice Ichigo Ichie is in conversation. Next time someone speaks to you, a friend, a parent, a colleague, try this. For just 2 minutes, make them the most important thing in the universe. No mental rehearsal of your reply. No glancing at notifications. Research by Dr. Albert Mehrabian at UCLA shows we only remember 7% of words, but we remember completely how someone made us feel. Presence is the gift that costs nothing and means everything. Food is one of the oldest human rituals of presence. Yet studies show the average person checks their phone 2.5 times during a meal. In Japan, the tradition of saying itadakamasu before eating, which loosely translates to "I humbly receive this life," is itself an act of Ichigo Ichie, a moment of gratitude for the ingredients, the hands that prepared it, the moment itself. Nutritional psychologist Dr. Brian Wansink's research shows that mindful eating reduces overconsumption by up to 20% and dramatically increases meal satisfaction. In Japan, there is a practice called Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. Developed as a formal therapeutic program by the Japanese government in 1982, over 60 peer-reviewed studies now confirm it reduces blood pressure, lowers stress hormones, and boosts natural killer cell activity, your immune system's frontline defense. The practice has no rules except one: be present. Not hiking, not exercising, just being inside the living world, noticing it. Ichigo Ichie in the forest. This exact tree, this specific wind, this precise slant of light. Once. If you have lost someone, a parent, a friend, a relationship, Ichigo Ichie offers something no other philosophy quite does. It says, you showed up. You were there, even imperfectly. And because moments are unrepeatable, that means your moments together were not diminished by their ending. They were made complete by their singularity. Grief researcher Dr. David Kessler, who co-authored work with Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, describes this reframing as finding meaning, the sixth stage of grief. Presence transforms memory. For young people especially, those in their teens and 20s, this philosophy is urgent. The World Health Organization reports that depression among young people increased by 25% during the pandemic, and studies show social media use over 3 hours per day is directly correlated with poor mental health outcomes in adolescence. Ichigo Ichie is not anti-technology. It is pro-reality. It asks, what if you brought the same full attention you give your screen to the actual human being in front of you? What might that feel like for them and for you? In the Japanese tea ceremony, the host selects a bowl, often irregular, asymmetrical, imperfect. This is intentional. The philosophy of wabi-sabi, closely related to Ichigo Ichie, finds beauty in impermanence and imperfection. The cracks in the bowl are not flaws. They are its history. The same is true of your moments. The awkward pause in a conversation, the imperfect birthday dinner, the rainy day trip that didn't go as planned. Ichigo Ichie asks you to hold those moments like a precious, irreplaceable bowl, because that is exactly what they are. A critical misunderstanding. Ichigo Ichie does not ask you to make every moment perfect. It asks you to be in every moment honestly. The tea ceremony master Rikyū himself said the spirit of tea is found not in magnificent settings, but in sincerity of heart. You do not need a beautiful life to practice this. You need an honest one. Even the moment of frustration with traffic, the moment of boredom in a waiting room, the moment of exhaustion at the end of the day, each of these is a moment you are alive. None of them will come again. Research on gratitude and presence from Dr. Robert Emmons at UC Davis, one of the world's leading scientific experts on gratitude, shows that people who regularly practice noticing and appreciating singular moments report 25% higher life satisfaction, sleep better, and experience fewer symptoms of depression and anxiety. This is not anecdote. This is replicated science. The practice of treating each moment as irreplaceable doesn't just change how you feel. It changes who you become, more patient, more empathetic, more alive to the extraordinary ordinary. Tonight, before you sleep, try this. Take 3 minutes. No phone. Sit quietly and recall one moment from today that you were actually present for. Just one. Maybe it was 30 seconds of sunlight on your face. Maybe it was a genuine laugh. Maybe it was the taste of your first coffee. Hold that moment. Let it be enough. Because the ancient wisdom of Ichigo Ichie says that one fully lived moment is worth more than 100 half-experienced days. You don't need more time. You need more of the time you already have. Son no Rikyū, on the day before his death, ordered by his lord to perform ritual suicide, hosted one final tea ceremony. His guests wept knowing it was the last. He remained completely calm. He arranged the flowers. He heated the water. He served the tea. And when it was done, he looked at his students and said simply, "Let us be grateful for this meeting which will never come again." He had spent his whole life practicing Ichigo Ichie. In his final hours, it held him. This is what the philosophy offers, not just beautiful moments, but the courage to face all moments.